We move ahead to the world of education and the VVS School District, which has secured some great funding and also some great awards recently. Martha Group is joining us right now on the show. She is the superintendent of the schools there at VVS, and welcome to the program, Martha. How are you?
I'm wonderful, thank you.
Good
How are
morning.
you?
Great. Are you from this area originally?
No, I'm not, but I'm from the Albany area originally, but I grew up in an area similar to the Utica area. I've been here for about 30 years, though.
Which part of the Capital District?
Guilderland,
sure.
Altamont, Schoharie County.
Yep. Yeah, I know it well. My uncle was the head of the history department at Union College for many years, too.
Oh,
So
okay,
we used to
yes.
visit all the time when I lived in Bennington, Vermont, make the short trip down Route 7 to the Capital District
Yes, yes.
Lived there for some time myself, so I miss it. I miss the Cap. Do you go back?
I still have family there.
Yeah.
I have a brother who lives there, and my mom is there.
Yeah, we're making the trip during Thanksgiving as well.
Martha, we were talking about your trip to see us here today at Roser Communications, located at Canal Park, and you had a little difficulty finding a brand new location for us here. We're right between the Erie Canal and the Mohawk River, and we were talking about all of the building that's going on, and the construction ideas, and the Harbor Point project. I don't know if you're up to date on all that, with maybe
Yes.
some restaurants and ballparks. And Jay and I have been discussing how attractive and alluring the idea of building near water is, near a body of water.
Absolutely.
Yeah. What do you think is the attraction of water? We've been talking about that.
you
We
know-
read a passage from Moby Dick earlier this morning, too.
Well, I think that part of the attraction of water is that it gives you the sense of adventure, and I also think that there are times when it gives you a sense of peace. So it really can capture a lot of different emotions and feelings that people have.
And speaking of attractions, you have a new attraction coming to the grounds there.
Yes,
at
we do.
VVS, and I know this is something we've been talking to Keith Schreibel about, and one of the portions of this to be instrumental were the funding coming
Yes.
through, and you're receiving the funding now from the county executive. What's the next step, and what does this mean for you guys?
Well, it's a significant amount of funding for us, $500,000, and what it does is it allows us to expand our agriculture program into an area that we haven't been able to address for a number of years. Really, in the last, it's been about 30 years since VVS has been able to have an animal science program. And what this does is it allows our students to have an animal science program. It also allows them to partner with local agriculture farmers, production individuals, and companies. And so what the students can do is they can really take on a real-life experience in working in the agriculture and science field. So it allows us to expand beyond the maple and biodiversity programs that we have in place.
Yeah, Jay mentioned Keith Schreibel before, and we had him in on the show a couple of weeks ago, and I know in advance of that bazaar of activities that you had, how did that go that weekend, by the way?
Community Day.
Yes.
It was fantastic. We had a great turnout. The community agencies who are there give us a lot of good feedback. So it's really the premier event that we have for the community in the district every year.
Yeah, I know he was mentioning something about some fire hazard display that went awry one year because it was so wet, and then the overturned bus, too, which was a powerful demonstration, I'm sure.
Yes. It was a little cold for us. Somehow we seem to choose the weekend where it's the most cold, so Mercy Flight wasn't able to participate because of that. But otherwise, the students did a great job, and all of our local fire and rescue agencies were there.
And how long have you been the superintendent of the VVS School District?
I've been the superintendent for 4 years, and I've been in the district for 18 years.
And plan on sticking around.
I do.
And with the Science Center, you mentioned the community and the students. What is the connection? Specifically, I'm interested in what you're hearing from the students. How important is this to connect with the farm community in the Science Center, and maybe to get the education and go further with this? I know the area is well versed in agriculture, so are the students really looking for this, or is this something that you feel that would help the students on your end? Are they the ones really asking for this?
Yes, they are. As a matter of fact, the students were the group who initiated this. Mackenzie Nickel, who is our past president of our FFA.
I think we had her in at one point with you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, Mackenzie has graduated. She's a freshman at Lemoyne College, but this was something that she spearheaded. And she did it in response to an interest that students have. One of the things that we try to do at VVS is encourage our students to give back to the community, which means that sometimes they're not able to enjoy something that they initiate, but they know that it's important to leave that legacy. And the students who are involved in FFA currently are very enthusiastic about this project.
Talking to Martha Group, the superintendent of schools at VVS here on the Talk of the Town, 100.7 FM WUTQ, and a great brand new designation for you in the top 500 high schools of the United States. Congratulations. How did you achieve that ranking?
Lots of hard work on the part of everyone in the school district. It culminates in the high school, but it starts in pre-K. All of our teachers work very well together. They collaborate. I like to say that we're a perfect-sized school because we're large enough to offer a lot of programs to students, but we're small enough to be able to get to know all of our students individually. And I think it's really in the relationships and the expectations that we establish for our students, and we don't accept anything less than their best work, and they rise to the occasion.
How are those rankings determined from Newsweek, by the way? What went into it?
They look at different pieces of data. For example, they look at the graduation rate. They look at your ACT scores. Most high school students take either the ACT or the SAT. They look at the percentage of students who go on to higher education. And they also look at, in our particular case, they also looked at the other challenges that students might face in the community, such as poverty.
And that ranking is fantastic in itself, but I think that's really an important part here, looking at the numbers with the graduation rate of 98.6%. That's fascinating as well. But college-bound students, 88.8%, and also retaining students in the low 90 percentile, which I think is fascinating because something that we talk about here is specifically college or maybe trying to keep folks here, but to say that you've had that great graduation rate and also it transpires and continues on with their college activities.
Yes, it does. And that's part of this, it's a whole picture. It's really a comprehensive approach to providing education and developing partnerships. The things that we talked about earlier, having students involved in establishing things that are important to them, being able to make those community connections are things that help our students to continue to invest in themselves and help themselves to be successful.
That's great. And sticking with the college graduation or the college numbers as far as going on, I think that's kind of interesting, specifically in your area with the agricultural effect being so strong there. And sometimes you might see that where the folks graduate from high school and maybe just continue on with the family farm or trying to get into that realm, but they continue on with their education to better themselves.
They do, and they recognize that the higher education is very essential to the success of agriculture. There's, I think, a misperception of the complexities of agriculture and what it takes to run a farm. There are the day-to-day aspects that we see, but running a farm is a business, and it's a livelihood that individuals need to pay attention to. They have to support themselves and their families, and oftentimes they're supporting multiple families. They have to be able to track things that are happening in the market so that they know how their income will be affected by that.
Major investments with equipment, and then it's seasonal as well. So I think that's a great way to explain that. Having a business background at some point, that might help instrumental in something like this.
Yes.